It's true. I was told to go back to my country. What did I say to him? I said, fine, maybe I will. I'm not sure. Where do I go? Do I go this way? Or? Do you know where Canada is? We have a problem. Not Black people, not Asians, not Arabs or whites. We have a problem as Canadians. For the first time in my life, I was told to go back to my country. Emotions were high and it was completely unwarranted. And I always kept it to myself. But I think this is a good time to start talking about an issue that's on a lot of people's minds and is causing quite a bit of confusion. And that issue is patriotism, identity, and how we're all supposed to deal with this thing called diversity. It's no secrets that our friends down south are suffering from a growing racist populism which is spreading like wildfire. Actually, you know what? I take that back. I'm not entirely sure if it's spreading like wildfire or if the discrimination and bigots just seem to have a larger microphone. And so as a proud Canadian, I think it's important that I put in my 2 cents as well. But for me personally, I'm not offended. What I'm more interested in is the mindset and this emergence of misguided entitlement, which seems to put some people ahead of others, despite of us all having the same piece of documentation called a passport. And the reason why it's getting so much attention is because of how easy it is to just throw these comments and accusations. My own personal theory is that it's just sheer laziness. It's so much easier to simply state an ignorant term and just walk away than to actually take the time to understand what's going on and what's happening in the world. But unfortunately, that's not happening with everybody. It kind of reminds me of the same frustration when you're playing a video game and things aren't going your way, or you don't really understand how to beat that boss or how to work within the puzzle or all the components that seem to be contributing to your situation. You just throw your controller and you stomp out the room in a tantrum. You just leave. Generally speaking, the world is becoming very sensitive to change. A lot of the fears that are creating a void without information, and those fears start feeding into bigotry. We seem to retract back to our instinctive need to push away whatever is different, assemble whatever is familiar, and a lot of people fear what they don't understand. But unfortunately, that seems to be seeping into a society that was built and founded on diversity and immigration and attracting all of the talent of the world to one place for us to enjoy the luxuries of freedom and liberty and everything that our charter grants us. And all of this can be applied to our neighbors down south as well in the United States. They seem to be going through it on a much larger scale, and it's far less common here in Canada, thankfully. Just to be clear, I personally am not offended. This isn't about me. Canada's immigration policy since the beginning has been exemplary to the world to show what a place can look like when we break down all of the barriers that seem to be dividing us and unite in a community of diversity and patriotism. There was a heavy influx of Lebanese immigration in the late 70s and early 80s because of the Civil War that led to a lot of Lebanese people seeking opportunity in this amazing country that we call our own. From the land of the cedar tree, bam, coming to the land of the maple tree, bam. Oh, cool. 2 tree references. They wanted to provide for the future generation what they didn't have for their own. And that's something we, as first generation Canadians, take very seriously. And we hold true to our Canadian identity. We're able to hold true to where we are and not forgetting about where we came from. Take the best of both worlds and create this hybrid culture, and everybody benefits. We come educated with a strong work ethic, and let me tell you something, we make one good damn shawarma sandwich. You know, it's funny, when I was told to go back to my country, it really put things into perspective for me, and I couldn't believe that I was being painted with the broad brush of racism that that person was using to judge everybody around them. Not offended, a little bit shocked, perhaps even briefly hurt, but actually it energized me to go ahead and start asking some questions. And so I spoke to my dad, and I wanted to dig a little bit deeper about who we were, where we came from, and why. And so in 1968 to 1972, at the tender age of 18, my dad was studying French cuisine at one of the world's top culinary schools in Beirut, Lebanon. And at that time, Lebanon was known to be the Paris of the Middle East and the Switzerland of the Orient. And people from all over came to enjoy everything everything it had to offer. But what's actually quite interesting about my father's story is that he was actually approached by people within the hospitality industry here in Canada who were vetting and scouting some of the world's top chefs and to come to Canada and contribute and take his culinary career to the next level. And so he accepted. And you can only imagine, you know, as an 18-year-old, how that must have felt. Not knowing anybody, leaving all of his friends and family and networks and contacts behind just to pursue something that he really believed in. Imagine that. Blind faith, taking everything you know and moving it to another place because you believed in that place's dream to create a diverse and inclusive society. At this point of the story, my father teared up because he actually started to reminisce about his first year, which was insanely hard. It was incredibly lonely. All your support systems gone, needing to create new ones. I don't know about you, but at 18, I had no idea how to create anything at all, let alone have $100 to my name. But eventually my father started to fall in love with everything this amazing place has to offer. The people were insanely welcoming, and I quote my father, "I loved them and they loved me." And that line started to get thinner and thinner to the point where my father actually started to consider himself a member of this society and eventually a citizen of this great country. And whatever made him feel that way, go through that entire process and finally feel like he was a part of something special, that is exactly what makes this place amazing. And that's going to fight the bigotry and the negativity and the discrimination that some people feel is the answer to all of the fears that we're all having right now. Everybody is going through this. This is not an isolated event for one pigmentation of skin tone. We're all going through uncertainty. We're all going through the need for more information. And so what does that lead to? More division? Let's amplify our differences rather than stomping them out and holding true to exactly who we are, which is Canadian. Not this weird historical reference about when Canada was at a specific point. No, we're talking about right now. And so my father told me, it became clear to him, becoming Canadian meant the ability to hang on to your roots while planting new ones in this beautiful land of opportunity. And he confirmed to me that in the 45 years of him being here, he has never been told to go back to his country. And if I can leave you with one more amazing quote from Papa Louche, is that this country is for no one, but it's for everyone. Shout out to Papa Louche. Look around you. The rewards are everywhere. I mean, come on. Either your favorite butcher, barber, restaurant owner, co-worker, or neighbor is probably Lebanese. Or a Canadian-born child of an immigrant, but probably Lebanese. And look at me. I mean, really, just look at me. Hold on. Really, look at me. I am Canadian. And if you assume that I am not based on my looks, then that makes you everything but Canadian. And if you assume that I am a mere visitor to this country, is it okay that I do the same for you? Because last time I checked, we're in this together. And so I think the next time somebody tells me to go back to my country, I'm gonna tell that person, why don't we do it together? Why don't we both get in a cab, drive to the airport, go to the Tim Hortons, buy an overpriced coffee, turn around, go back into the same cab, and head back home. And we'll probably become friends in the process.